God damn it, Apple. I want this. I really want this. But it's $1,000, and I mean, is it really that much better than the last one? Probably not. And it's significantly cheaper to buy the old one, so that's what I did. This may have been cheaper than buying the new model, but it's still by far the most expensive phone I've ever bought at $725. As of writing, that's a decent price, and I found a seller who was actually just wanting to upgrade to the 15 series. However, I don't even think that's an advisable decision unless you really have money burning a hole in your pocket. Or, I guess, doing a trade-in. I am literally recording this video in the dorm room I'm staying in for college. I don't have the money to be dropping $1,000 on a phone every single year, let alone $1,000 in general. So this seemed like a decent compromise, and I'm going to show you why. A decision that most people in the tech community would describe as stupid is buying the old phone right after the new one is launched. But to be honest, the iPhone 15 event was just underwhelming. And the introducing iPhone 15 Pro video was just as disappointing, honestly. A little thing like here and there, I guess the action button's kinda cool. And titanium is a nice, decent material, but I own a phone made out of titanium already. It's not really that special. I feel like when a company, especially one like Apple, tries to sell you their new product by honing way too much on the build quality of the product, that's a bad sign, considering that half the people who own iPhones are just going to slap a case on it anyways. I'm not convinced that many people actually cared that much about titanium, that it was like a super requested feature for the new iPhone Pro series. I feel like the iPhone 12 series also suffered a similar kind of situation, where they talked way too much about the stainless steel surgical grade whatever and 5G.
5G.
But I didn't leave the 2020 Apple event feeling like, oh, this phone sucks and it's not even worth it. I was actually, okay, I kind of want this phone. ProRes is cool, 10-bit HDR video is cool, the build quality is actually a really nice refreshing change, and the Pro Max series has better cameras than any other iPhone's ever had. So sure, take my money. And coming into the iPhone 14 event, when they said this was the biggest camera upgrade ever, and it was actually worth buying, I actually believed them, even though I don't think it would have convinced me to upgrade from my iPhone 12. The only reason I actually bothered buying this thing is because I accidentally dropped the iPhone 12 Pro Max into the Yellowstone River. It's actually located exactly right here. There's a free iPhone 12 Pro Max literally right in that location. I could never find it, but if you do, then it's yours. Just let me get my data off first, please. But instead of rambling on about my personal life choices and mistakes, I should probably actually review this phone. Starting off in the performance section, this phone is still an absolute beast. The A16 Bionic makes everything super fluid, and you can run intense games no problem on this device. And unless you want to run like ray tracing at 1440p for some reason on an iPhone, then I guess the iPhone 15 would be better for you, but this is just as well. And considering how well the iPhone 12 Pro Max is aged in terms of performance with its A14 chip, I think that this will be a great phone that stays wicked fast for years to come. And personally for me, I don't do a lot of mobile gaming, so the GPU performance on an SoC doesn't really matter to me. Hence why for me, the Pixel 6 Pro still feels just like a flagship as it did on day one. And if there's one word for the camera system on this phone, it's impressive. It's just really, really good. We've been stuck with 12 megapixel sensors since the iPhone 6s. Having an upgrade to a high-resolution 48 megapixel sensor that rivals Android phones of today is a huge welcome change. Shooting in ProRes actually feels like a really good experience now. You can actually make huge prints of these photos that are comparable to a DSLR. Though I will say the 48 megapixel ProRes photos are absolutely massive, and you're better off shooting in 12 megapixels. Granted, the older iPhones could already do that. You still have the 10-bit HDR Dolby Vision video on here, and it can also shoot ProRes, but since mine's only a 128GB iPhone, it only does it in 1080p. And what really sucks is that the new iPhones support USB-C 3.0 transfers, so you could attach an external SSD to it, which isn't possible on this device. But I think the 10-bit video is more than good enough for even pro shooters, and you won't be really missing ProRes unless you absolutely need it for a pro setting. But then again, you're probably just doing one of those fake scenarios that Apple sets up in their advertisements anyways. Like, who the hell is actually doing that? I don't know. It's like, if they have budget for flames and helicopters and motorbikes, then they probably have the budget for release a semi-decent Sony mirrorless camera. Also, while the new Pro Max iPhone has a 5x telephoto lens, the photonic engine allows this 3x telephoto lens to perform way above its weight class. Compared to the 12 Pro Max, it can go up to 10x optical zoom and still look actually fairly decent. I have never seen that from a 3x optical zoom before. And now for a feature I think is majorly underrated is the flash arrangement on this iPhone. It has this custom multi-LED setup that allows you to get better fill or more sharpness depending on what kind of subject you're shooting. It does make a difference when you're shooting portraits at night, so that's something to consider. Besides the new camera system, the other elephant in the room of this iPhone is the screen and this new dynamic island little pill thing on the top. It's kind of cool, I guess. I mean, I don't find myself using it that often on only in Apple supported apps, but I don't think it's that invasive, and I don't think it should have been that much of a controversy when it came out. The screen itself is the best I've ever seen in a smartphone, and I do mean the best. It gets up to like, what, 2000 nits peak brightness? And the new iPhone is even brighter than that. It's still bright enough for outdoor viewing and really any realistic situation where you'd find your phone in. The only advantages of having an even brighter screen than this is just a little more comfort in viewing outdoors in like direct sunlight. And while I didn't think I'd find myself missing 120Hz on the iPhone 12 Pro, well, here it's actually kind of a godsend. iOS is already really smooth with animations, and having 120Hz high refresh rate Pro Motion just makes it even more of a better experience. So as far as the screen goes, I really don't have any complaints. What I might be able to complain about is maybe the battery life. I've heard that some 12 Pro Max owners have been really disappointed by their battery. I, however, have not been, because I'm just used to the Pixel 6 Pro sucking, and this gets me through a day and a half just fine. But with all the specs and hardware of the iPhone 14 Pro Max out of the way, there definitely are some things I don't like so much about it. First of all is eSIM. I just don't like it. I have to go to the Verizon store to get my phone activated, and now I can't quickly switch between phones if I really wanted to do another phone for a review. I'm kind of stuck with this for now, unless I wanted to buy an international version, I guess. And especially knowing that the extra space inside of this phone is literally just a plastic block in place of where the SIM card would normally go, and not used for something like a bigger battery or a more capable motherboard, just really upsets me. I don't know why Apple felt the need to do this. The headphone jack was at least understandable because technology eventually caught up to the point where wireless earbuds are like $30 at this point. But eSIM steals a convenience that we're never going to realistically get back. And knowing now that the new iPhones are going to be using USB-C exclusively, it feels kind of weird owning the last iPhone with a lightning port. It's kind of like owning an iPhone 4S. The last iPhone that had a 30-pin connector. Everything designed for these types of phones is just going to fade into obscurity, and all the new ones aren't going to work with it. This cycle of Apple endlessly holding back newer technology from the new iPhones just pains me. And it's not because Apple made it perfect or something. USB-C has literally been around since 2016 on Android phones. Thunderbolt 3 came out in 2017, yet the new iPhones don't support that for some reason. Even though that would be nice, I don't know why they don't just go all the way. Maybe they're saving that for the new iPhone. I don't know. But at the end of the day, there's going to be people willing to pay $1,200 for a 5x telephoto camera, USB-C, and I don't know, I guess that action button. But so far, I'm really reminded of my Pixel 6 Pro review. You're getting a lot more phone for your money with this thing rather than the 15 Pro Max. It's like 90% of the phone for like half the price. Although it's not quite that dramatic. I'd say it's like 80% of the phone for like 70% of the price. But that still ain't too bad. And if you've watched this channel for a while, then you know me as an Android person. I mainly review Android phones, and I've been daily driving that Pixel 6 Pro for the longest time. However, being as unreliable as it is, I need a workhorse of a phone if I'm going to be doing work, school, and really anything on the daily. And you want to know what? The most reliable Android I ever owned was a Red Hydrogen 1, if you can believe that. That experimental 3D phone from 2018. I never had it crash, overheat, bad battery life, or anything. The second most reliable phone was the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I probably would have just stuck with the Hydrogen if it weren't for the fact that it's stuck on Android 8.1. But seeing as the iPhone has been the most reliable phone I've ever owned, I think it just makes common sense to upgrade to another one, and I can see the appeal of people doing that now. I'm going to try and make this phone last at least 5 more years. I'm not going to spend another like $700 to $800 on a phone ever again if I don't have to. I mean, think about it. This is the same reason why I dropped $1,200 on a laptop and, well, $1,200 on my desktop, which I still use day to day. The thing is that technology is moving at an insane rate. You can buy a phone today and rely on that thing lasting you at least 5 years. I think the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a great example of that. It came out in 2019, which is 4 years ago at this point, yet I think it still holds up remarkably well. And you have to remember, today's cutting edge tech is going to be just tomorrow's tech in general. So if you buy cutting edge tech today, granted it's not some sort of experimental weird thing, then you're probably going to be set for a while, and that's my philosophy here at least. And hey, I hope this is justification enough for spending the amount of money I did on this thing. And with that, this has been the iPhone 14 Pro Max. A really crazy and reliable phone I'm going to own for as long as physically possible. And this is Calc G, out.